I'm just trying to fit in, and you're watching a battle against Crappyname12345, also known as Charzy12 from Poke Community. Anyway, he leads with an Azelf, which uses Stealth Rock, and I lead with a Ninetales, which has Drought, and I use Fire Blast on that Azelf, hoping it'll kill it. Sadly, it doesn't though, leaves it at red, and the Azelf goes for an Explosion. And even though the explosion was powered down, it still managed to take me out, which was sad. I go, switch into my Arcanine because it has Intimidate, but it doesn't seem to help. I expect him to go away from the Gyarados, and I didn't really have anything to hit it, so I used Morning Sun, and I thought it would hit me, so Morning Sun. It goes for a Substitute though, which is sad for me, and then it uses Shadow Ball, leaving me at low health. I use a Flare Blitz to get rid of the sub, and he uses Shadow Ball to take me out. And again, Arcanine fails me. I go into my Swampert because I know he can't do much to my Swampert. Thinking he'll switch this time, I use Curse. He still doesn't switch, he goes for another sub. Now he uses Pain Split, which kind of caught me by surprise. I should have seen it coming, but I haven't battled many Gengar, so it was kind of sad for me, but not too bad, because Shadow Ball still doesn't do very much damage, and I'll be able to survive another one. I go for a Stone Edge to break his sub, which is still, now he's, like, I haven't even done anything to his Gengar, it's kind of sad. He goes into his Zeruzican, for the Intimidate, but I already had a Curse up, so now my attack is at normal, and I have +1 defense. And I go for a Rest, and he Dragon Tails me out. He Dragon Tails me out into my Venusaur, which is bad for him, because Venusaur now has Chlorophyll, and I use Solar Beam, and I take him out. No, I don't. I almost take him out, and he uses Dragon Tail again. He gets a crit on the Dragon Tail, doesn't really matter, because it doesn't do much damage. He Dragon Tails me into my Charizard, which takes a huge amount of damage from Stealth Rock. Charizard goes for the Fire Blast here, and just look at the raw power of Charizard. It takes the Blissey like past half health with a special attack, which is really sad for Charzy. He goes for Protect, and I get another turn of Solar Power, and he goes for a second Protect, and I die. And that was kind of a mistake on my part, because I actually had the Roost, I just didn't use it. I was willing to lose my Charizard to that one hit, but he ended up getting the double Protect. So I send out my Meloetta, and I believe I use Ancient Song on this turn, and it doesn't kill the Zaruka, whatever, Dark Fighting type. Just barely, though. At this time, I believe I can kill it with a Shadow Ball, and I'm also kind of predicting the switch into Gengar, so I use Shadow Ball. But it lives, which is really sad for me, and he uses Drain Punch and gets, not too much HP back, but he still gets HP back. And then Leftovers puts him at, like, almost a third. And now I do something reasonable and go for the close combat and take out his Dark Fighting. He goes into his Ditto, Eccentric, makes it transform right away, and he's also Scarfed, I guess, so he goes for the return. And I'm hoping my Venusaur will outspeed it, but it doesn't. But it doesn't matter, because Venusaur's a beast and it has a ton of defense. And survives it. And then it uses Sleep Powder on the Ditto, which sucks for the Ditto. And when he switches into Blissey, I go for the Synthesis and gain 2/3 of my HP. That's what happens in the sun. I go for a Solar Beam just to see how much it'll do compared to Charizard. And it doesn't do anything. Which, again, just shows that Charizard is a beast. He goes for the Wish, as I go for the Sludge Bomb to try and poison it, maybe force him to switch. He doesn't get the poison, though, and he uses some kind of hidden power. It's not fire, but, It doesn't really matter, it didn't even do much damage. And, I use a synthesis here to get more HP back, and I know the Blissey can't do much. It would have used Thunder Wave if it could have, and he goes for another Wish. I switch out into my Swampert, because, Swampert can take hits, and go against whatever Blissey has to offer, and it's physical. And he goes into his Metagross. His Metagross uses Rock Polish, which I don't really care about because Swampert is a slow Pokemon. And he uses Earthquake on my Swampert, and it doesn't even do anything, even though I don't have any curses up. And I'm asleep for... That was 2 turns, and now I wake up and I use Curse because I calculated it in my head, not on a calculator. And I'll be able to survive another attack. And then I use Curse again this time, and because I know I'll be able to survive another attack after this Curse. And he goes for another Earthquake, and I use Rest. This is a really long battle. This is actually 53 turns. So even though it's like double speed, it's like 10 minutes still. It's really... It took such a long time to record on DS Mumi. Anyway, now that he sees that I'm back at full health, he goes out into his Gengar, and I believe he goes for a Substitute. Yes, he does. Substitute while I'm asleep for 2 turns, and then he uses Shadow Ball, which is pretty much his only hope, and he gets a special defense drop, which sucks for me. I wake up and use the Stone Edge, and luckily I don't miss, breaking his sub. And what does he do next? He goes for a Shadow Ball, and I just barely live it, I remember. Which is pretty nice for me, and then I use Stone Edge and take out his Gengar, which was kind of a threat to my team, because really I only had Swampert to handle it. And Charizard is gone, so... He sends out his Ditto, and for some reason it falls asleep. I don't know if that's because of Eccentric, or if it's because my Swampert was asleep when it came into battle. But, whatever happens, his Swampert is asleep, and my Swampert uses Curse, and, for 2 turns, I believe. His Ditto's asleep for 1 more turn. No, I use Earthquake on his Swampert, and I was expecting to kill it with my Curse, but I think I got some min damage hacks. Doesn't really matter, though. I don't mind. And, I go for a Curse here, thinking that I'd be able to take more than 1 of his Earthquakes, but unfortunately he 2-hit KOs me with his Earthquakes, making my Swampert dead and his Swampert alive. He takes his Ditto back and goes into Blissey because it's a pretty nice counter to Venusaur, and I just Solar Beam, hoping to take out the Swampert. Then I use Sludge Bomb, hoping to poison the Blissey, force him to switch out. This is my last Pokemon, by the way, and this is like 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the double sped up battle with just Venusaur. Anyway, seeing as he can't do much to my Venusaur, I use Sludge Bomb, and he switches into Metagross, and it doesn't do anything. And then I use Sleep Powder, and it misses, and I use Sleep Powder again, and it hits. And he uses Ice Punch, which is dang it, because no Metagrosses carry Ice Punch except for that one. It's a good thing he didn't carry Fire Punch or anything like that. I use Synthesis, gained 2/3 of my HP back. That's the second time it saved me. Solar Beam didn't do too much. It was pretty nice, though. He uses Ice Punch. I just barely live. I get a Sleep Powder off on him, put him back to sleep, and then I use I use Synthesis again on the Switch. He transforms into my Venusaur, and what he's going to do is use a Choice Scarfed Chlorophyll Sleep Powder on me, and then switch out again. But he misses the first one, and I use Synthesis to get all of my HP back, which is nice for me. And he uses Sleep Powder, which stinks for me, because now he's going to go back into his Metagross and Ice Punch me. So I'm asleep again, and he gets an Ice Punch off. No, his Metagross is asleep, so it doesn't matter if he got the Ice Punch off or not. And I wake up, and I can 2-hit KO him with Solar Beam, which is nice. And then he wakes up on the second turn, I believe, and gets a crit on the Ice Punch. So it was a really close game. Nice battle, Crappyname.